All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Power BI Embedded webinar. My name is Serge Devganic, and I'm Software Solutions Architect with Ellipse Solutions. Here's my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me after this webinar if you have any questions. Just a little bit of information about our company. Our company has been in ERP consulting business for 25 years. We've been focusing in Dynamics for about 14 years, and we had a first D365 go live back in 2017, so in 2016 rather, when it was still called AX7. We currently have an offer. If you have any questions regarding this offer, feel free to email us at solutions@ellipsesolutions.com. Let's take a look at today's agenda. So today we'll be talking about what is Power BI Embedded, when to use it, how does it work. We'll take a look at the development process. We'll have a demo, and also we'll have a Q&A. So what is Power BI Embedded? Power BI Embedded is a Microsoft service which provides powerful analytics and BI solutions in D365. It also simplifies access to relevant data insights for large user groups. It also allows power users to customize reports directly in D365, which is a powerful feature. These customizations, however, are limited to report canvas only. If we need to, for example, develop new solutions, modify data models, we would need to rely on developers for those tasks. Because Power BI Embedded is part of analytics and business intelligence platforms, it's worth mentioning that Microsoft has been a leader for 13 consecutive years in this area. So when do we use Power BI Embedded? Whenever we need near real-time access to information, whenever we need access to powerful analytical and business intelligence tools, and whenever we need to expose all these powerful tools to a broad audience, we should definitely consider embedded solutions. There are also some alternatives. Let's go over some of the major differences between these alternatives. So the first one is PowerBI.com. This is also called integrated service. Both embedded service and integrated service are based upon the same technology, and they both offer powerful visuals, analytical insights, role security. They can be user customizable. However, there are some key differences they would like to also discuss. For example, embedded solution does not allow access to users outside of D365 application. It also does not allow data mashups. It does not support OData connectivity. On the other hand, integrated solution does not support direct query, which was specifically designed to handle large quantities of data. It also does not support drill down to D365 forms, and does not offer near real-time information refresh. It also does not come pre-configured with data models and reports like Power BI Embedded solution. So the next alternative is SSRS reports. SSRS reports have been around for a long time. This is still a great tool when it comes to developing forms and business documents. It allows also drill down abilities, and also it's great when it comes to customizable filters. Although SSRS reports offer static views, and they're not that great when it comes to developing analytical insights. When you run SSRS reports, we also have to keep in mind that we can potentially have adverse impact on system performance because SSRS reports, they run against transactional database. The next major alternative is Management Reporter. Management Reporter has been developed specifically for financial reporting. Great tool for financial reporting. It also has no impact on system performance because it relies on a separate database. The next few slides show what different reporting solutions are best at, what audiences they target, and what development efforts is involved. This information will guide you through a process of selecting optimal reporting solutions for your business needs. So please take a few minutes to review this information after the webinar. Now let's take a look how Power BI Embedded works. This diagram shows the inner workings of Power BI services, which begin with a developer who develops Entity Store and designs reports. Then the developer creates model packages, which can be deployed then along with reports to LCS. Next, Entity Store refreshes data from transactional database. This can be configured to be near real-time refresh. Next, Power BI Embedded fetches data from Entity Store using direct query and presents this data to end users. This diagram also shows how integrated service is different from embedded service. It also begins with a developer who develops Power BI reports and then deploys these reports in PowerBI.com web spaces. Then these reports, they have ability to connect to a transactional database via OData. Keep in mind that OData is not designed to handle large quantities of data. These reports also have ability to access external data and also perform data mashup scenarios. These reports then can be accessed by users outside of D365 application. So what is Entity Store? Entity Store is simply another purpose-built database which specializes on high-volume, near real-time analytical reporting. Underlying technology is similar to AX 2012 analytical cubes, and therefore cubes can be transformed into aggregate measures simply by changing only one parameter. We can also do this transformation by using AX Upgrade tools. I'll show you this parameter during our demo. Also, when we deploy aggregate measurements, they take shape and form of views and tables in Entity Store. Entity Store also still relies on scheduled process for database synchronization, or we can be configured to be near real time, and we can have refresh rates as often as 1 minute. Entity Store also eliminates transactional database performance degradation caused by reporting, because reporting is actually done not against transactional database, but against Entity Store. This slide shows how different objects are related to aggregate measurements. So for example, when we develop and deploy an aggregate measurement, a set of views and tables is created, and you can see how they are related by their names. We can use this information to track these objects back to the originating aggregate measurement. Now let's take a look at the reports. So there are roughly 40 pre-configured standard reports available in D365. We have access to all of these report files on development boxes, and we can use standard Power BI desktop application in order to customize and develop new reports. We also rely on direct query to fetch data from Entity Store for these reports. When we deploy these reports, Entity Store Engine actually handles data source mapping for us. It replaces data source with the appropriate data source of the target environment. So we don't have to worry about changing data source before we make our deployments. Here's a snapshot of all 40 reports available to us on the development box. When talking about embedded solutions, it's also worth mentioning workspaces. Workspaces are used to expose all these analytical reports, all these Power BI embedded reports to end users. There are two different types of workspaces, operational and analytical, and we'll take a closer look at those. And also, there are 60 pre-configured workspaces available to us. So we can pin Power BI embedded reports to operational workspaces. It's a simple process, which we'll also demonstrate during our demo. Once we pin those reports, they are available on the right-hand side at the bottom of our links under Power BI reports section. Users will be able to click on these hyperlinks and render these reports. Analytical workspaces are slightly different from operational workspaces. Reports are directly embedded into these workspaces, and they render as soon as we open these workspaces. There are about 20 pre-configured analytical workspaces available to us in D365 application. So now let's take a look at the development process. The development process begins with entity store development. First, we use Visual Studio to create aggregate measures and dimensions. Once we create these objects, we can deploy them to either development environment or sandbox or production environment. There's a slight difference between deploying to different environments. When we create a project, build it, and then synchronize it, the deployment process is actually done for us automatically in the development environment. In sandbox and production environment, we have to create deployable packages for our model and then upload those packages to asset library in LCS. After all these steps are completed, we refresh Entity Store in Dynamics 365 application. Next, we need to develop our reports. We use Power BI desktop application in order to create and customize Power BI reports. Then we use Direct Query to connect to Entity Store. At that point, we have access to all aggregate measurements, which are available to us at that moment. Then we design our reports, we customize our report, we save it, and then we can upload those reports to Power BI report model asset type within asset library in LCS. Next step is to deploy Power BI files in D365 application. Once all these steps are completed, we are ready to embed or pin Power BI reports in D365. And now let's have a demo. So first, we'll take a look at this whole process from a developer's perspective. As I mentioned, we need to start developing our aggregate measurements first. We create a project. We create our aggregate measurements based on tables. And once we created our measurements, they'll be available in AOT. Next, when we deploy our measurements, they will create a set of views and tables. To demonstrate you that, I will open SQL Server Manager, and I will navigate to Entity Database, which is AXDW. And then I will expand Views, and I will scroll down to views, which are related, for example, to this highlighted aggregate measurement. As you can see, a set of views was created during the process of deployment of this aggregate measurement. I can then open code behind these views, and I can track which tables are being used by these views. So I'm going to expand tables node, and I'll scroll down to relevant table nodes. And here we can see a set of tables that was also created during this deployment process. So if for some reason you need to troubleshoot some data issues, this information can be used to trace these objects views and tables back to the original aggregate measurement. So next, let's take a look at report files. So here I found all different report files available to us as standard report Power BI reports, which come with the U365 application. For this exercise, I simply browsed service volume on this dev box by PBIX extension. Once I identify a report that I would like to customize, I can copy this report to my working directory. I can rename it. I can open it in Power BI desktop application and begin my customization process. Here I can customize visuals, I can rearrange visuals, I can also bring additional data sets, I can perform data modeling. And so when we connect to our entity store, we'll be able to access all aggregate measurements which are available. And once we identify measurements required for our project, we'll be able to add them as a data set. Once we've done developing, customizing our reports, we save these reports, and then we can upload these reports to LCS. Next step, to make our aggregate measures and Power BI reports available in U365 application, I will log into my application. I'll go to System Administration node. First, I'll go to Entity Store, and from here I can refresh my aggregate measurements. Once aggregate measurements have been refreshed, I can go to Deploy Power BI Files form. And once this form is open, I'll be able to deploy my custom reports. So once we refresh aggregate measurements and deploy Power BI files, we should be able to see our reports. We should have access to our reports from workspaces. As a developer, we can also extend existing workspaces and replace existing Power BI embedded reports with our custom ones. So next, I'd like to open a workspace. This is an operational workspace. And from this workspace, I can pin my newly customized report. Here I can select either one report or several reports to be available to users. After I refresh the web browser, these reports will be available as hyperlinks on the right-hand side. So now let's take a look at Analytical Workspace. Once I click on Analytical Workspace, our standard report renders. As I mentioned, developers have ability to extend workspaces and replace these standard reports with custom Power BI embedded reports. Power users also have the ability to customize existing standard reports. To customize a report, Power user would go to Options, Edit Analytics. This would open a report editor in the browser, which has a similar look and feel to a desktop application, although it's not as feature-rich. At this point, we can start modifying report canvas. And remember, this is the limitation of customizing these reports directly in the application. So for example, I can change this visual to a pie chart. I can move this visual around. I can change the order of these visuals. I can also add additional filters to my report. Also, I can create a new page and completely customize it according to my business needs. For example, I'm going to go ahead and add a pie chart to my report. And also, I'm going to add a table. Now I'm going to start by adding fields. As I customize these visuals, you can see that these visuals and tables are being populated at the same time with live information. Well, not live, but information that's provided to us in near real time. Okay, so here we have a very basic report that we created in a matter of minutes. And we can take advantage of all of these data sets available for us to customize our reports to create additional pages on these reports. So now this report, although it's simple, it's fully functional. We can interact with this report by clicking on report elements. Once we're done customizing our report, we can save it, and this report will become available to us. There we have it. I would like to also mention that we have ability to integrate PowerBI.com reports into analytical workspaces. This is a very simple this is a very simple process as well. So Power users would go to Options, select Analytics, and here we would have access to our workspaces on PowerBI.com. Then we select our appropriate workspace. We select our report. And once we refresh the browser, the report renders for us. And with this, I would like to conclude the demo. So now I'd like to give you a chance to ask some questions.
Thank you so much, Serge. We do not have any questions in the queue right now, but folks, I just want to remind you, now's the time to enter a question if you've got one. And if you don't have a question right now, as Serge indicated, we do have a question, Serge. And the question is, was it a single tier environment or a tier 2 environment? That was all it said.
This was a single development environment that we had during this demo.
All right. And the next question from Declan was, we're using PBIs that we built in the AOT. Is there a way to persist the filters?
Can you repeat the question again, please?
Yep. So he said, I am going to, Declan, I'm going to unmute you so you can ask your own question, just because I'm not sure I'm understanding it fully. So, Declan, I've unmuted you so you can ask your question now.
Hi, thanks guys. That was a great demo. Thanks, Serge. What I wanted to ask really was, we use Power BI pretty much as you've outlined. We create our own workspaces, and we use operational or analytical workspaces. One of the issues that we have is that we have users who, for example, we may have a Power BI which has, say, multiple countries in it, or multiple sites, or whatever it is. And you know, for example, person A wants to see all. If these would be sites that we'd use on a slicer, for example. And person A wants to see, I don't know, site 1 and 2, and person B wants to see site 3 and 4, etc. If we were doing this in the Power BI service in PowerBI.com, we would just build the Power BI, and we would share that Power BI with, say, person A with a persisted filter. In other words, we would filter it so they would see 1 and 2 as a default. And if we were sharing it with person B, we would filter it with 3 and 4, and we would share it with persisted filters. Is there a way to do that via D365, calling Power BI embedded reporting?
Well, you can explore security options which are available in a Power BI desktop application, and you can see if this will provide you with the functionality that you're looking for. I've used security rules. I've used security rules to provide specific information for specific users in the past.
Right. Yeah, we use managed roles, but the problem is that we call Power BI's out of an AOT Power BI embedded controller method, and I'm not entirely sure. I mean, how to, you know, how I would say, for example, if you have somebody in 365, user John, like it's an AD user or user in 365, how I would pass that, know that it was, as it were, know that it was John, without hard coding it in the method to say that persist for John to see company A and B, persist for Jane to see company D and E. I'm not sure how I pass that through into how the embedded controller would know. The only way I can think of is actually create multiple Power BIs in the AOT and just put the links in for them, which is not ideal really, because you're actually creating the Power BIs separately with kind of filtered Power BIs, which is obviously not ideal. But you've used security rules.
Also creating. Yeah, you might consider for that purpose creating maybe separate workspaces, separate Power BIs, like you mentioned, if you're having issues controlling these differences from user to users.
Okay, look, great. That's
all right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And maybe one other question, if there aren't lots of questions. I mean, there's an option to use just Power BI service, and there's the option to use Power BI embedded. And I know the licensing thing is different if it's the embedded, but is there a reason why you would use one rather than the other than licensing? And I did hear some talk from Microsoft about the fact that they were going to use the service and kind of, as it were, deprecate embedded at some point. I don't know if you know about that.
Are you referring to integrated solution, which is available through PowerBI.com?
Yes, just the regular Power BI service, like PowerBI.com.
Yes. So the difference.
If I had one, sorry.
So yeah, the difference is that there are a couple of differences. When it comes to licensing, as you mentioned, embedded solutions does not require any additional licensing. When it comes to PowerBI.com, which is integrated solutions, you need to purchase additional licenses for users. Next, embedded solutions offers you access to Entity Store, which can process large quantities of data and has direct access to Entity Store, where integrated solution is not really efficient at that. It uses OData to connect to the transactional database. So it can patch information, but it's not going to be really efficient when it comes to working with large data sets.
Sure, right. Okay, thank you so much.
And also, you're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much, Declan. I'm gonna put you back on mute, and I'm gonna ask the next question, which is from Juan, and he asks, if I need other data sources besides D365, can I still make the embedded report?
Currently, embedded reports do not support external data sources. You would have to probably utilize integrated solutions, which is PowerBI.com. Maybe Microsoft will release this feature in one of the future versions, but it's not currently available.
Thanks so much. And the next question, and the final one from Juan, is you need to have a Power BI server embedded or Power BI Premium to deploy these reports?
No, this functionality comes standard with D365 application. It's part of the package.
All right, thank you. Those are all the questions we have.
Thank you.
Oh, wait. Oh, I can handle that one. You don't have to take that. You don't have to take that last question. But thank you so much for presenting today. We had a great presentation.
Thank you, Julie.
And a lot of folks on the call, so that's all great. I want to remind you all that within the next day or so, you'll receive an email link to both the PowerPoint and the recording of this webinar, which you will be able to access as long as you are an AXUG member. So with that, I'm going to close the webinar and wish you all a great week and hope you all stay happy and healthy as we're going through this virus issue. So goodbye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.